Town halls are a big tradition in American politics. You go, you ask questions, have your voice be heard, and sometimes those voices are raised, and those can actually be the most awesome town halls. Take a look.
Great question, I'm glad you asked it.
Answer it!
Okay, I am very glad that someone is looking at all of the waste.
It's not up to Musk. You're surrendering to billionaires, you coward!
Yeah, I kind of love that. There was a little bit of crosstalk at the beginning. I don't know if they were saying boo or boo earns or maybe go F yourself. It was one of those three things. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll have to ask California Representative Jay Obernolte, who was holding that town hall. And look, it dissolved into the sort of chaos that you would expect because they wanted to know why he was okay with Elon Musk, who nobody voted for, deciding, all that stuff that Congress passed, all that stuff that you might have voted for, Obernolte. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna get rid of that because I'm Elon Musk. I'm a billionaire, I'm better than you. I'll do whatever I want. And that's not okay from the point of view of his constituents. And I love that they had their voices be heard. Again, I always fear after one of these videos that's that for town halls for this dude. Maybe not, we'll see. But just in case, we wanted to give you a couple more of the quotes from people there. One, Joseph Candelaria said, "This community struggles with gainful employment. 6 jobs have already been lost. You talk about how the military isn't paid enough, so let's take away SNAP benefits. You know who uses SNAP benefits? Military communities, because we don't pay them enough." And so he responded, "I'm sorry, what did I vote to take away?" And you've probably heard this from other representatives, like Elon Musk was like, don't say that I was canceling cancer funding. I didn't do that, and he totally did. So Jay Obernolte asked a question. And I'll assume that it's not a rhetorical question because if you watch the show often, you know that I'm done with rhetorical questions that should be actually answered. So let's answer it. Well, on the Congressional Budget Committee, he voted yes on a February 12th budget resolution that calls for at least $238 billion in cuts over 9 years to programs like the House Committee on Agriculture, which would include the supplemental nutrition assistance program. That would be a massive cut to food stamps, which not just Libby Libs and crunchy granola commies use, lots of conservatives, and indeed a lot of vets use that. He's trying to kill that program, so you should be angry about that. And he goes on to say that there's been a lot of angst and consternation about programs that everyone relies on, like Social Security, like Medicare, like Medicaid. I want to be crystal clear about this. No one is talking about reducing benefits for people who depend on them. Go to effing hell. They are talking about an $880 billion cut to Medicaid. They haven't even gotten started on Social Security yet. We already know that they want to reduce the benefits. We already know that they want to make you grind out another 3 years of back-breaking labor on the tail end of your career before you finally get the benefits that you've been putting into for literally decades. And this a-hole is gonna stand there and lie about it? I know what's in that bill. I'm following. We're gonna talk about it later in the show. Is he implying that he doesn't know what's in Mike Johnson's budget bill? Because it 100% includes that nearly $1 trillion in cuts to those programs that he's lying about right now. And then he tries to imply that it was a mistake for people in the national park system to be laid off and we're getting that mistake corrected. No. They've hired back a few people who were defending the nukes, a few people who were looking into bird flu or whatever. Because again, there are many mistakes when you have idiots in charge. But no, they're cutting massive funding in the national park system. People in these communities will be losing their jobs. This dude is running scared, and he should be. He both should be scared because people understand how terrible what's happening actually is, and he should be running and soon will because I can't imagine he's gonna want to do a lot more of these town halls in the near future. But Yaz, what do you make of this?
I love this, right? I love all these videos and I love that these Congress people are actually hearing from their constituents or making an effort to do so. And these constituents, I love how they're utterly unapologetic and unforgiving in both their criticism of their elected officials and their consternation But I am a little concerned that they will just stop doing these town halls altogether because, what good does it do for them? It doesn't do any good for these representatives who typically do whatever they want once they're in office, or at least whatever Trump or Elon Musk wants them to do. They do these town halls and then they get yelled at by angry people who are trying to hold them accountable, people who are telling them to their faces that they are cowards and that they're bad at their jobs. They then get blasted on social media and the internet for being completely incompetent and for attempting to gaslight the American people. And everyone can see and hear how disliked they are. We heard all the boos, we heard all the things that were being yelled at these politicians, and these videos are viral on the internet now. It is bad for a politician's image. Politicians, they live and they die by their brand and by the public's perception. And if they were before, they're no longer fooled by the smoke and mirrors and all the double speak and all the doubling down that these politicians so often do. And people are tired of being spoken to as if they're stupid. We just saw Rich McCormick over in Georgia. He compared his town hall to the January 6th insurrection, which he wasn't even there for. He didn't get into Congress until 2023, but he made very condescending attempts to lecture and quell the people at his town hall, his constituents, as if he was addressing a classroom full of children. And then he just continued to stick to his existing talking points without really addressing any of the concerns that the people were actually bringing up. And the American people, I think, are finally waking up to the fact that these Congress people work for us, right? They're in these positions because we let them be in those positions, and we're supposed to hold them accountable. That's part of the job. They should expect that their constituents, including the people who voted for them, especially the people who voted for them, should hold them accountable. But it is uncomfortable. In a lot of ways, being an American congressperson is a thankless job. That's the job that they signed up for. That's the job that they ran for, they campaigned for, they begged for, right? That is the job they wanted. So now do the job. This is part of the job. And if it's uncomfortable for you, I'm sorry, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for you.
No, 100%. You should be held accountable. And unfortunately for him, this is probably what that's going to look like. I looked at the election results. In the last election, he had slightly more than 60% of the vote. So he's probably safe. That said, they are shaping up. And look, I'm making this prediction right now. If I end up being wrong, then play the tape, in 2 years. I'm gonna have much bigger worries on my mind than whether I got a prediction wrong. But I think that they are prepping the ground for an absolute shellacking in the midterms. And is it impossible that with the right candidate, a dude who got slightly more than 60% of the vote could potentially be one of the casualties when the American people say, hey, we gave you guys a chance, and what the hell were you doing for the last 2 years? Get the hell out of here. Could be. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.